When you hear the phrase living legacy, what comes to your mind about Swallowfield Chapel?
For me, I think, it's generations, seeing successive generations within Swallowfield Chapel. So, you have grandparents, great grands, parents, kids, and you still see interaction. So it's not like there's a set that just there. They're still very active, participating, discipling, leading, encouraging, that kind of thing. And that's very encouraging, certainly for me to see, because it suggests life in a church.
There is the sense of persons who have done that which really and truly, which is of God, that we are happy for. And I have been questioning myself in regards to the matter of the term legacy, because somehow, because of my age now, you want to figure out what you leave behind. But the truth is, it's really God's legacy, God's number. So when I look at Swallow and see what God has done and is doing and continuing to do, I'm really grateful in terms of as my brother Len said a while ago, in terms of persons and successive coming on. But you're just seeing God working through. And I think maybe it's the living would be more the individual persons that the Lord worked through in terms of church.
Well, the living part of it now. The life that we enjoy at Swallowfield, the roots of it come from way back. And we do have a legacy that we should protect and cherish and nurture and pass on.
Yeah.
Because we have been gifted something, and we in turn should seek to hand it off to the next generation.
Yeah.
What was the heartbeat of Swallowfield Chapel in those early days, and has it changed much these days? How does a growing church remain rooted to what we have built?
Well, no, Swallowfield is a composite. Like most things in life, like you are a composite of the values you got from your parents and from your community. Well, Swallowfield springs out of a number of different places and organizations. So the Chinese Christian group, the Gallimores, who were missionaries to China, and the Brethren movement, especially Maranatha and a number of others.
Yes.
We found our roots there, and we took purchase of some things that were beacons of light for us, and which we have continued over these many years.
Yeah.
Now, I don't pretend to know the whole history, but I grew up at the feet of some of the founding members of Swallowfield. One of them in particular, who was very precious, who many of you wouldn't know, is Uncle Eli Ho. And he had a tremendous effect on my life. And he is, you will hear Cecil and Dave was also passed, call him Eli Go, which means older brother.
Wow.
So he was actually their first cousin,
Yes.
but he grew up with them because his father had died, and he went back to China to study in university, and war broke out, and he had to flee into the hills until he could find a way to return to Jamaica. So all of that history of the Gallimores being missionaries, and I mean, and then he came and he was a teacher at the Chinese school downtown at East Street, and the Henrys and the Hoes, when Swallowfield was originally just an old house, just an old house, no church. And we used to have a Christmas party there. So the input that has been made into Swallowfield,
Yes.
the truth of the matter is 95% of the church doesn't have any idea about it.
Yeah.
But they should really. We should honor those who have gone before us. People like Maurice Gilbert, who was a hands-on man. He served on the eldership with me. He would come down here and fix things and build things, and we have a great amount of value
Mhm.
in what we have received. It's valuable.
You know, Rafi, when you spoke of Uncle Eli, it sort of warmed my heart because I knew Uncle Eli would, in terms of mission, we could usually go to various places, and I usually sit in terms of his home. So that was an exposure for me to go to the rural assemblies. But he's just always just a quiet gentleman. And when we usually have service, we usually have Chinese, and there's all this interpretation in terms of the
Yes,
beginning.
yes, he used
And
to.
so, only thing I remember is him sit back, ship, shoo, with him got into that hymn book or something like that. What you can't play. Yes, something you're trying to measure how the Chinese go with they think. But Uncle Eli, you could guarantee him not going to go long, but very clear and just a steady person. And it's like what you would refer to as one of those statesmen within the
Yes,
assembly,
yes.
and I think that provided also, as you speak about mission, and I look and I think of Uncle Dave. Swallow was known in terms of a church with mission, in terms of its budget, its focus, and all other. I think churches would be looking to us to see how you can model that to say, mission things. So it's always going and serving and supporting, so students who were from other islands, they were being supported at the seminary because, we're supporting in that way. And Connie Carr that came out of things. So there's just a mission thrust, which I personally had greatly benefited from.
I wasn't around, so.
What was the vision for discipleship, for missions, and also for the community when you started on the eldership?
I was never the visionary. So I was always very impressed with people who could vision cast. People, I remember going to meetings and Richie Mesada would say, "We can do it," and he spoke in parables. He never, he always, sometimes was hard to understand what is he saying, but he would say, "We can do it," and his favorite saying is one cocoa full basket, and what we have now is one cocoa.
Coco, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry to cut in.
Yeah. That have come in around the 2000s, in the new millennium, and came and saw people like Uncle Cecil, Uncle Richie to the fore. And I remember not long thereafter trying to acquire this property, number 7. And that same one Coco, Uncle Richie led that charge every week. And so it kind of drove you. So I'm a relative newcomer. And I took out my little tithes, yeah, and put that one side, but I have to have an offering for the one Coco man. So the one Coco, going towards that. And so it was so focused, and it was delivered in such a way that you felt a part of it. You felt like you owned piece of this, like we have to do this. Back then we used to do prayer walks in the community. I used to look forward to that. Because I used to come in from Montego Bay for Sundays. So I was working, so I'd come in, do church, hang around, and if there's a prayer walk, usually prayer walk is like after service or between service, I remember. And that was really something for me because I dropped into that. And just being out there in missions, you have to go and reach people out there. And then discipleship. Also I dropped right into that because Frankie Lawrence was an elder stepped down to disciple about 13 young men, one of whom was me. And so, you kind of just drop right. It's like, it's always had this sense that Swallow kind of had everything like just set up. You just needed to step in at a point and then you're in. So that was very encouraging.
The matter of the vision, well, I was residing in Swallowfield, so I resided in Swallowfield at least for 10 years. So being at Swallowfield as a child, which would have been before, like 9, 10, 11, when Swallowfield started, itself in the 70s. So the experience of actually active discipleship was impacting in terms of me because we usually have meetings within the Swallowfield community. I can remember like persons coming and they have like the cowbells and they're playing the music with the cowbells and various things in the Watson Avenue, those other things that will be done. And then the embracing of myself, like Uncle Dave and Auntie Phil, taking me as their own, as a child, and being really, really encouraged. Of course, I also had the privilege, and especially as Rafi had mentioned, because I had also the background of Maranatha. So I had that legacy. So so even Ralph's dad, Charles Royce, would have been for me one of those where I looking at, really, and then seeing now, the Royce brothers all being here. So I experienced that. And as you mentioned, then we used to go out in various areas and witnessing. And that was part of the youth fellowship thing that we're doing and praying. Yeah.
There were some benchmark occasions and events that, because of the size of Swallowfield now, not really possible. But one of them was the Easter camp.
Oh, yeah.
It was something that the whole church looked forward to every year. The church went away for the Easter weekend and had a ball. And some powerful things happened like that. And another one was a Chinese, when we were still the Chinese Christian group, they used to have a once a year Christmas party. And Swallowfield, when it became a church, adopted that, and we had a Christmas party around the back where the building is now. There was just a, we call it the ark, but it was just an empty space. And so the Christmas party was something that we look forward to. Easter camp was, a lot of people were impacted by Easter camp, and it's a pity that we're not able to enjoy it.
Yes, man.
Maybe we have to be
Yes,
some sort
yes,
of innovation to have
yes.
some. I remember one eventful one down at Pasley Gardens, when they wouldn't go to bed at night. The young fellas like Paul was giving trouble.
Oh, I don't think it's me, it wasn't me.
And Maurice take off him belt, man.
I don't think it's me.
And
I was scared. I usually would stay in. I think so.
threatened to throw some licks on people.
I must confess I'm a coward, so I wouldn't be out there. So
Maybe it was
So
Chris.
on board.
Maybe it was Chris.
Maybe yes. I don't know if it was a pastor. I don't know.
Those were good days.
Good day.
Those
Oh
were
yeah,
good
yeah,
days.
yeah.
You guys already mentioned names like Uncle Cecil, Uncle Eli, Uncle Dave, Uncle Frankie. If you can think of some more names, who are some of the people who deeply shaped your walk with Jesus in that season?
There are no more people.
Yeah.
My dad, Charles Royce Sr., was one of them. And he had a lot to do with the early formation, and people like himself and Harold Wildish were regular speakers at Swallowfield. And my dad and Uncle Eli were very close. From the Deanery Road, Vineyard Town, and Uncle Cecil used to live there as well. So it's hard to single out people, but even some of my contemporaries like Maurice Gilbert, wonderful man. Margaret still comes to Swallowfield, but I remember going to visit him shortly before he passed. And he was lying on one of these veranda settees, those old-time things, and he had a fan blowing on him. And it was obvious that he didn't have long to go. And he looked at Charlie, my brother, who was also an elder, and he said to us, he says, look, at least I can be here on my veranda and have a little cool breeze blowing on me. But always remember the poor. This is a man who was facing a transition. Yeah. And people like Dub's mother, I mean, she had to be a powerful woman to put up with him. She had a big impact on my life. Auntie Phil, Auntie Inez. It's just too many to mention.
Yeah. Yeah. Why I have to underscore in terms of my mom, in terms of her example and her faith. Auntie Phil really defend me, Rev. And I can't. I mean, I'm presently in a dysfunctional relationship um, s- with Sister Nash, and
Well, that's not you alone. Don't feel like the Lone Ranger.
okay, but yeah, and Auntie Phil, but we defend me, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Support me in terms of that. So, so many. Uncle Richie was my Sunday school teacher. I think of Dave Hosang, you have leaders there. I know you have youth leaders. You have the Clayton you're looking at. You have the whole matter, the Roaches, the the Chows, of course, Charles Rice. To me, we always look like, those who just, yeah, Ralphie and John. You just look, these are, of course, Uncle Cecil would always be. But I think Uncle Dave for me was really, in terms of that era and period, that really.
You might forget that my brother Charlie, who was an elder here for many years and an integral part of Swallowfield, came to Swallowfield to get a wife, Grace.
Okay.
And they were part of the singing group, the
Omegans.
You remember that?
Omegan, yes, you're part of that group.
Mm-hmm.
The Omegans.
Yeah, I never got the gift of singing, unfortunately. But you mentioned Auntie Phil, and a story came to mind. When my brother John was in the early formation of Boys Club, and they used to come under a lot of criticism because the boys really were badly behaved, used to give a lot of trouble. And they used to complain about the bad words that they would use when they were playing football. And some people wanted to abandon the boys' club. Auntie Phil called them aside one Friday evening and said, John, don't give up. You're making good progress. They did not curse nearly as many bad words as last week.
Yeah.
But that was her gift. She was an encourager.
Yeah.
She was a personification of grace.
Yes.
That was Auntie Phil.
Yes. Certainly.
When I came in, for me, and I mean, I didn't grow up in Swallow. I came in, I think, in my 30s. And the first person, Uncle Cecil, and I went up, the altar call was made, and I went up. Uncle Cecil was there, counseled me, ministered to me, and he never left me. Never. Every Sunday, it's like him, I don't know if I'm some kind of device, like a tracker. But every Sunday, and he knew that I told him my situations, I've been working out, so him know I'm coming in from far. And every Sunday, he would be there to greet me. Every Sunday. Without fail, he was there. And then I would have had people like Richie Harris, who kind of took to me, give, much guidance. Frankie Lawrence, as I mentioned. And what was powerful for me then was Ace classes. Was a powerful Del Palmer, my favorite Bible teacher. Every class Del does. So I was coming into town for Monday just to go to Del Ace class. I would have done a Monday evening. So you can't. So Ace was a big thing. We were like guided into, you have accepted Uncle Cecil, so no, you're going, go fast start. People like Courtney White was facilitating at that time. People like David Pearson, John Donovan and Judy Jonas, those people. So there was just a whole suite of offerings, and people who would just come alongside you. Look, somebody's beside you. Hey, you want to the Dacia Brown Davis? So there were people there, and it just seemed natural. Natural that they pulled you in. I'm really grateful for those experiences.
Uncle Cecil was a unique character, one of a kind. You could count on him to say the wrong thing in the public forum. When he chaired meetings, I was scared out of my wits because he would say, for instance, like, here comes Sister Smith, she's going to sing a solo for us. What a way she put on weight. This is in front of the whole church. And then the following week, he'd say something like, Sister Brown, where you get that hat from? In those days, ladies used to wear hats. I mean, Uncle Cecil, and he just got away with it. If Paul or myself or Len said things like that, we'd be locked up. But with Uncle Cecil, it just,
Yeah, they had license.
yeah. Yeah.
You spoke about Easter camps, Sunday school, community prayer walks. What are some other moments and highlights over the years that has stood out to you?
Well, I remember when Everett Allen came to Swallowfield, it was a milestone for the church, you know. A very gracious brother, Baptist preacher from Brownstown.
Yes.
And I remember that is when my brother John started to come to Swallowfield. I think that was back in the 80s, maybe it wasn't even the 90s, it was back in the 80s.
85 or so.
Yeah,
85.
I think that is one
Mm-hmm.
milestone that I can think of.
Oh.
And bit by bit, as I've seen the physical
Mm-hmm.
structure grow and get filled, and then another piece built. And when I look at it today now, I mean, it's just incredible.
I'm looking more space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One for me, one of the biggest, probably because I'm in construction too, was right here, number 7. Was just this half, I don't even know if it was half built, but I partially built something, and it was just sitting here between number 5 and number 9, and then they started selling the vision for it, and just watching and being a participant in that. So it's not like you're just watching it from as a distant observer, but I'm there, and every Sunday, and the messaging and the sharing of the plans, and the team, different persons from the team would share. And then when you saw, and sometimes kind of you don't get it, you know. It's like, what do you need another building for? And that's what I love about Swallow, because we have leaders who are visionaries, who see forward, who see down the road. We have people around us who can see it, and some of us will just run, go and do. And I think that's just a kind of great synergy right there, because you would have the Uncle Richie, the eternal optimist. Yes, man, 1 cocoa, we're going to get it done. Might need 1 billion cocoa, but 1. Next Sunday, you need a few less. And so he goes, drives like that. But you have the Uncle Cecil, who's a bit more restrained. So you have so Uncle Richie's like the gas, and Uncle Cecil like the brakes. So you need that balance. But it just worked out just so well, just how everybody just got involved, work this. And then I know when you walk through here, you're like, whoa. And then you kind of know, get it. That's what they saw. And so leaders now are looking for more space, because it has to continue. The legacy has to continue. Yeah.
Wow. I'm not sure if it's a one thing, but in terms of my own personal development, just the impact of Swallow in regards to social friendships that I've been privileged to have. The privilege to serve is actually John Royce that had suggested that they should ask of me, because I was serving in Child Evangelism Fellowship and the Student Christian Fellowship movement, and I was invited in from Mobi and returned. In terms of studying, even going to Edna Manley, supported there, even playing football, and John being coach and thing as a goalkeeper. And I realized, like, served for 2 years, and I remember the statement was made, one thing they know, they found a goalkeeper. I mean, I can't see, but at my glasses, I can't see. No, seriously. So I panic. I just see a color person coming and say, watch him. Because I just see, that's a threat, it's a danger. Watch him, but I can't see. So even somebody would score the goal. I really don't know, but I know it's my team. But it even brought me out of my fears. I experienced, like I said, there are some things you could do. The matter of even my music, and being able to play and being encouraged. I remember Dave Jr., I remember playing 90 and 9, and it was in A flat, the 9, and I don't think I finished the song. There are 90, because I will put flats in it, and I come off after playing, and encouragement saying, so, it's okay, continue, and I keep playing, So Dave Ho, we had a TGT, which is the first youth band that was there, the gospel train, we usually go to places in that way. So there are, even, and I think even for us in terms of taking on, in terms of a pastor, because usually we have speaker every single week and different person. I know we just have series and the leadership. That for me was also sort of revolutionary move in terms of how we were going, and then being a part of these strat plans and things. And that's right. I'm not the person, I don't see visions and things. I watch the television, but and sitting but to see these persons who see these sort of thing. And then I started learning, and and just the love and graciousness. But there's always an embracing. And for me, it was like, we are so privileged to have young people and children here. That for me was just exciting. Just, yeah. That for me was just the life. And just to see persons come, and them get married and having children. I say, whoa. So now I'm realizing I'm the ancient of days. I remember one time a friend I asked, how old you think Uncle Paul is? One said 87. And then after one got to 100 and something, I said, okay. Then I felt good when they said, he's a legend, a legacy. And then they said it was like, where you call it, the Transformers, but that was a grandpa one. So I thought it was supposed to be like Bolt. It was a grandpa. So I said, geez, some people. So I just take it and say, that is just how life is. But I just enjoy this. This is a beautiful thing.
We have allowed certain people to go on the platform, and of course, every leader has their quirks. For example, Uncle John is the only person I know who says the R word and get away with it.
He's not a normal human being. I have an excuse. I got knocked off my bike and had a brain injury, but I don't know what his excuse is.
Oh,
What are some of the uniqueness of the leaders that have sat on the eldership?
I have to be careful enough. I don't want to become persona non grata. But it always used to amaze me when Lance joined the eldership. And he used to work hard, I think, because he used to come. We used to have elders meeting in the night. Yeah, Monday night, yeah. We started off actually in a little room behind the church in number 5. Just a little room, maybe 12 feet by 12 feet, with a filing cabinet right in the corner here, and two red couch, and
the office is there.
yeah, so, and then Lance came much later on, and originally it was Richie Mesada, Clayton, and myself, and then Charlie, my brother, and Uncle Cecil, and Uncle Eli, and then Dave, who came back from Chicago, and then Maurice came on board, and when we moved upstairs to one of the new buildings, and Lance at about 8 or 9 o'clock would start a thing like this. I don't know how he didn't get whiplash. And then he had an amazing ability to be sleeping and then wake up and join the conversation like he was there all along. I mean, I said, but how does he do that? But it was very amusing. And then he'd get up and ask a question as if he had never, don't miss a beat. Yeah. It was humorous. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I must say that the current set of elders present much by way of excitement. Terrence. Terrence. I remember Terrence always have some encounter, some joke. I remember when he had the diagnosis for his ailment. Remember, Paul?
Yeah, man.
And he was walking in the morning, and there's this lady that would walk with him,
Yeah.
and the lady come alongside him and
Don't
say,
worry.
"Oh, don't worry. It's the same
This
thing
is
that killed my husband."
Yeah.
He's like, anybody
Yeah.
who came in the elders
Elders
meeting
meet-
would trace what kind of church is
Just-
that. Everybody was on the floor, so,
Yeah. Moments, yeah.
yeah, man,
But Terrence is one of the, when he used to chair the meetings, often he was one of the people that I used to be afraid of, and I said, what is Terrence going to say today? But he has mellowed in his old age. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh,
Well, I used to be afraid of Hobdub, to tell you the truth, because Hobdub was exciting sometimes. So, yeah.
Well, the way they do it now is just to restrict me. You know, that's
Yeah.
Well, we are on tight leash.
Tight leash.
Especially when you start to bark. Woof, woof.
And that is greetings to my brother. I believe that everybody in the church should be welcome.
Welcome.
You know?
Welcome.
What is John?
One of the things I want to point out, though, that's our observation, is that our elders are just quite normal, just down to
I
earth
don't
people,
like
just
normal
regular.
would be,
Maybe you're right, Ross. Yeah. I stand corrected, but it's just down to
maybe
earth
the
people can
present set
come.
of elders I don't know are normal, but the ones I serve with, I mean, aside from David, who was pretty normal, I mean, and Charlie was pretty normal, but the rest of them, boy, I mean,
Kind of weird. But I've got more normal. If I've got more normal, I don't know, but I find that interesting because time we go to other churches, that thing is like some kind of title. It's almost like you need to sit on a throne kind of thing. And at Swallow, they're on the ground. They're just the regular people. They encounter or minister to you, counsel you, that kind of thing. You know, and for that I'm grateful. Grateful.
very much so.
What are some practices or values that you have seen from the early years that you have seen still practicing today?
I think the early morning prayer meetings that we used to have on the steps and thing we usually come here and play on the prayer roof or pray early morning. But the prayer meetings, especially I think from the COVID situation online and having that prayer thing, that for me is a significant thing that occurs. I think there's also the embracing of our youths and children, and there's a youth focus in terms of young. Of course, when I started, the church would have been young. No, we are old. It sounds strange. My mother would say, "You have the mind, but you don't have the behind." You know what I mean? But this is just
That's something, that's a song like something your mother would say.
Yeah. I'm just quoting. I'm quoting my mother. You know, it's not my words. That's quoting my mom. You know, but there is also a looking out, and there was also a quest for what the word would say. So we were not trapped into what you call the traditionalism to uphold and saying this is what the brethren. And so we were always looking and saying, Lord, what you're saying. So even if ever we brought someone because we want to know what is it matter of the experience of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, and what that experience all that. So we always been searching in terms of the scriptures and going and giving opportunities, for the young to be developed and encouraged.
Well, when I see people like Adi, I realize that one of the traditions that we seem to have been successful in, and we need to encourage it, is when I was a young man, Uncle Cecil encouraged me and gave me opportunities. I remember the first time he asked me to speak at a Thursday night meeting. I didn't know what I was going to do, but he opened the door, and I look at Adino, who I remember when he was a little infant, and I see that legacy of encouraging and embracing young people, and say, "Come." It's a Paul and Timothy situation where you embrace it, and they say, "Come and sit with us. Come and sit with us in the gates." I think that we need to even be more consciously doing that.
And you see that the continuous manifestation of that, because when I came in, a lot of very young teens and so on. You, yeah, turn big man now, yeah, and you see people coming through. They are put into spaces, and there's a deliberate policy of growing young, deliberate.
Yes.
So youth infused every
because
every space.
before you quit, you're over the hill and in the pasture. And when I was here on Sunday and Timmy was leading this service, and I was looking at it, and look at this young man. Look at this young man now. You realize that the clock is ticking, and we have to invest in the young people. We have to embrace them and guide them, and Important.
What would you hope Swallowfield will continue to hold on to for the next 55 years?
I'll say this as something that I heard. There was an old preacher named Ern Baxter who passed away back in the 60s, but I heard him say something that I've never forgotten. He says, the main thing is to keep the main thing as the main thing. And that is the person and work of the Lord Jesus, our Messiah. Whatever else peripherally we do, whatever dressings, whatever ministries, we always have to keep the main thing. And in every occasion that we have to introduce people to Him, that is the main purpose of Swallowfield.
Certainly, as just expression of this, the main thing for me is passionately loving God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, loving our neighbor as ourselves, and then going and sharing that, because it is possible to fall in love, and this has always scared me, that we fall in love in terms of what we have at Swallowfield, and this is something we revel in, till Jesus is upon the side. Him really not the center of it all. But him, we sing about him, but it really, it's a danger. It's something I've always been careful of. So persons will always say, boy, Swallowfield, what is, and you come out, it can get a sort of sense of pride. And Jesus is on the side, and I pray we would never lose sight in terms of that it is him. I just also, I personally, when I just came in terms of serving in terms of 1996, I had a mentor, and I realized that anybody who comes in need to have a mentor, and that was my sister Ann Crick. She mentored me, for times, and that for me was a precious for me, precious.
I think for me, it's I put it this way because it's we for us it's to be and make disciples of our Lord Jesus Christ. But I look at it this way: it's to live Christ and share Christ. And that's simply how I look at it: live Christ and share Christ.
Yeah.
As we come to a close, is there any final word that you would like to share?
One thing: continue to grow young. Grow young. Always involve the youth, because the youth of today is tomorrow, obviously, our leaders. Involve them early.
I was thinking, I'm taking a line of a song that says, "Our God, our help in ages past, and I hope for years to come." And I had that privilege and continue to have that privilege to experience God and the love through the body of Christ here. That's all of it. And I pray that we remain faithful to Him. We don't lose sight of that.
Baruch Hashem, bless the Lord. Bless the Lord.
Amen.